everyone, and welcome back to Turning Point, a virtual conversation about pivotal moments for individuals in the ag biological space, sponsored by our friends at Tiarks. I'm your host, Rhiannon Branch with Brownfield Ag News, and joining me today is John Tiarks. John, I'll let you go ahead and tell us a bit about yourself.
Yeah, Rhiannon, appreciate being on this morning. John Tiarks, Underwood, Iowa. My wife, Carrie, and I got a set of boys. Braden, who's a senior, and Max, who's a sophomore. We're fifth generation family farmers. We farm about 1,300 acres up here in Southwest Iowa. Both of us were ag school graduates, University of Nebraska, Lincoln. That's where we met. Farm with my father, who's just kind of, I guess you could tell him he's freshly retired, but he's still around the place and he'll be in the field with us picking corn this afternoon. But DeKalb and Asgrow dealers, that's been probably our primary business for a number of years. We also are, my wife is kind of heads up a Kent Feeds dealership for our operation. We do run about 100 head cow calf so yeah, and then we do quite a bit of seed treatment, which has kind of led us to some of our associations with Terracim and New Leaf and some of the things that we're doing there. But yeah, just excited to be on this morning.
Yeah, we appreciate it. So I kind of want to touch on, every little aspect of what you just went through there, but let's start, maybe look back a little bit, talk to us about kind of the timeline of how that all got pieced together with, the farm and the business.
Yeah, I graduated Y2K December 99 from down in Nebraska, and I'd rented some farm ground already. So I was about an hour trip home, even though we're on the Iowa side from campus to there, and was farming with my dad then, and graduated. My wife graduated in the spring of 01. And, from there, we originally were Golden Harvest seed dealers, started back in 2000, 2001, out of the corn crib at the farm, ironically. And not a very big building, didn't have very many customers to begin with. Forklift leaked a lot of oil. Kind of an interesting time, had a few cows, but we're just kind of looking for ways to make income, to use our degrees to create off-farm, quote unquote, if you will, income. And that led us into the seed business. And we found that we liked it. We worked with some really great people with JC Robinson and Golden Harvest. I mean, some of the sales training, there's stuff I learned in those first 8 years from the guys at JC Robinson. Dave Dom primarily that I still use in sales to this day, and kind of a passion for the seed industry, I suppose, kind of blossomed from there. At that point, there was a real strong desire to start beating Pioneer. They were beating us, and I was getting tired of getting beat, and I'm a pretty competitive guy. But was a high school football coach for nearly 20 years in the middle of all this, and our DeKalb district guy, Dan Christensen, guy that I loved, who has since passed, I talked him into letting us be DeKalb dealers. We might have been the last pure independent in the state of Iowa, signed back in 2008. And I've joked for a long time, next to marrying my wife, Carrie, signing that DeKalb dealer contract was probably the best thing we ever did. And kind of been in and out of the cattle since then. But the seed treatment, another district guy with DeKalb, a great guy named Ralph Lunders, kind of got us in the seed treatment side of things. And when Braden and Max, our boys, rolled up to go to school, that seed treater was honestly kind of my wife's first job back out of the house after the boys went to school. So I'm sitting here talking about it, but my wife's the one that's done a lot of the legwork on the seed treating for a number of years. And as her feed store's grown here in recent years, we're actually going to hand that job off to Anthony Gress, a young employee that we've got, great guy that we love having on our operation. He'll take that over this year. But just probably in the last 18 months, 24 months, have we really began to get interested in biologicals and what that can do for our customers, our operation. I mean, I think one of the big things at Midline, in our business, whether it's with our farm and with our customers, is we're always after that extra 3 to 5% growth in yield and outcome. And how do we go after that? What can we do to separate our business, our operation from the competition? How can we help our customers achieve that? And that's kind of led us into this biological space.
So looking back at kind of that entire timeline, what would you say, as maybe the most significant turning point for you, both personally and professionally?
Yeah, that 2008 when we signed with DeKalb, business tripled and doubled very quickly. It was, as the Star Wars fans would say, it was kind of like putting the Millennium Falcon into hyperspace. Everything changed. We went from kind of being that guy that was selling his seed corn out of the back of their shed at the farm to being kind of a pro rep, if you will. I mean, I like to think the farmer dealer aspect that we have. I mean, I find it very important to sit in the combine cab and observe the hybrids we're selling, the treatments that we're selling. I want that firsthand experience. So when I'm sitting at the table with customers, I can share that experience with guys. I find that to be very powerful. But in 2008, that time period from there to about 2011, our business went from about a 1,200 bag corn business to a 7,500 bag corn business in about a 4-year period. And then we had the opportunity to work with Don Orm and his family up in Minden, Iowa, just about 8 miles north of us. They were looking to retire from the seed business, and they had a business kind of similar size and scope. And we brought that together, and we kind of went from, like I said, somebody running out of the corn crib at the farm to how big is the warehouse and how fast can we fill it kind of operation in a pretty short time.
You mentioned your competitive side earlier, and that kind of goes into the name behind the business.
Yeah, Midline. I tell you what, I'm an old school football guy. Bo Schembechler, Tom Osborne, Bill Parcells, option football, power football. Let's run the rock. I think there's a lot of farming and running the football on offense have a lot of things in common. It's a grind over time. But Midline is an A gap option play that I love to run. I just fell in love with it. We run the fullback up the middle, jump cut off the block of the center, quarterback read the first guy hit up outside the guard, and away we go. So yeah, I've gotten a lot of questions with you. What is Midline? What is Midline? Well, it's an option play. Is what it is. So yeah.
Nothing like combining the passions there. I love it. So if we switch over kind of, to the biological side of things, you just mentioned that turning point for the business, and that you guys are starting to dabble into these biologicals and seed treatments. At what point would you say was the turning point for biologicals for you guys, where you started to maybe learn about them or started to accept them?
Yeah, like I said, just in the last 18, 24 months, I mean, whether it's been with Terrasym and some of the products there, first on the soybean side, we've tried some on the corn side this year too, with Pivot Bio and their proven product. Sean Bloomgren out of Boone, Iowa, is a fellow DeKalb dealer, a very trusted friend. I'm not a results kind of guy. I mean, I am, but I mean, to get into things, I'm a relationship kind of guy. I trust relationships. I trust people. And Sean's somebody that has been a very trusted advisor, kind of on my own personal board of directors, if you will. And so he was the one that kind of got us going with it. Our message to customers on soybeans was early plant, proper populations per planting date, those types of things. We really wanted to talk to them about building as big a vegetative factory with their soybean plants as possible. And that's where Terrasym came right alongside that and was like just a perfect match, very cost-effective way to maybe include that into our base seed treatment. That's something that we did here at Midline. And again, just looking for what advantage, if you can buy Asgrow soybeans 4,000 different places, why buy from Midline? Well, at Midline, our base seed treatment includes Terrasym at this point. And I really feel like that's given us a leg up. If you go buy Asgrow from somebody else and get them treated there or from us, Terrasym is a leg up for us and a leg up for our customers. There's no doubt in my mind when it comes to vegetative growth and the type of factory it takes to produce high yields.
Sorry about that, John. Had a few audio issues here. I'll put in my headphones and hopefully you'll be able to hear me a little bit better. Similarly, when we talk to people about biologicals, they can kind of recall that turning point too. So let's look at what your journey with biologicals has looked like since then. I know it's only been the past couple of years that you've been working with it, but kind of dive a little deeper into what that work has looked like.
Yeah, we had roughly probably about 10,000 units of soybeans go out of the building here with Terrasym on them this last year for our own personal acres and then our customers. We have sampled the Terrasym 450 product for corn. We did include that in some of our own test plot information. We had DeKalb 5864, which honestly didn't perform super well on our plot. I think we're figuring out that's a hybrid that doesn't really respond well to wet feet, wet soil type of scenarios. But when we put the Terrasym 450 on it, we saw a 26 bushel response, which was pretty high. 6390 DeKalb was a hybrid that only showed an 8 bushel positive response. So I think it handled wet feet, the scenario where we had the plot a little bit better. I am in the middle of harvest. I have done a couple split planters, 25 units each, treated 450 and not. I believe we've seen probably an 8 to 12 bushel bump on the one, and I'm looking forward to harvesting the second one. So that's kind of on the new leaf side of things. And I think our plans for next year to have Terracim on every bag of everything that goes in the ground for our personal operation. And we'll look to implement corn over treatment into our entire business and offer that to our customer base for those that are interested in it. Additionally, the Pivot Bio proven space with proven 25 this last year, now moving into proven 40. I mean, that is just, 1-to-1 nitrogen. That's amazing. I mean, the easiest way to tell guys about that is say, hey, your corn's going to be able to essentially fixate part of its own nitrogen. And then when you look at the price point on it, I mean, you're hearing some wild $1,300 a ton type of numbers on anhydrous for next spring. I mean, that's in that 73, 4, 5 cents a unit type of deal. I can get you into that for 52 cents. So there's some things there in that biological space with both Terracim and Pivot Bio that we've gotten involved with in the last couple of years that I think are going to be cost effective for guys, but most importantly, they're going to make the yield monitor bump in the fall. And that's really what we're after. I mean, the biological space ties very well with our philosophy at DeKalb. We're a premium product. We have a premium price point. We're after premium yield results. And that's what the biological space is also after.
So with talk of some of these really good yields, I feel like I know the answer to this question, but do you feel like biologicals are kind of a turning point, for your business or for agriculture in general?
Oh, absolutely. You talk about the first turning point being maybe that 2008 when we signed with DeKalb. I think this space has unlimited potential. I mean, as I look at it from a business owner infrastructure standpoint, how do I service this space? How do I prepare to service this space? As big as our seed dealership and feed dealership are, and as proud of them as we are of our farming operation, the outfits we're working with on the biological side, I think the potential there could grow past everything we're currently doing. And that's awful neat. It's also kind of scary to make sure that you're timely and appropriate with how you service your customers in that space. But, I don't think traditional fertilizer suppliers will like me telling them this. I think there's a chance someday you see an awful lot of anhydrous tanks sitting along a tree line somewhere because we don't need them anymore. I know on the pivot side of things, those people are awful excited about the opportunities and what can be done there with that. And on the Terracim side, the vegetative factories we can grow with the soybean side, the stress mitigation that we're finding with Terracim 450 on the corn side. We're establishing in Southwest Iowa new high yields for, I would venture to say 85 to 90% of the farms in this area. Now that's going to be the new bar. How do we stay at that bar? How do we establish a new bar? And if you're not dabbling in this biological space, if you're not working with these outfits, you're missing a really, really important tool, I think, to help you capture that next 3 to 5% growth your farm's going to need to be competitive.
So on that note, for those farmers or others who have kind of heard a bit about biologicals, maybe they dabbled with them back, when they first came out and weren't so sure. And now the technology is kind of advanced and they're haven't quite reached their own turning point of if they quite believe in them or if they should dive all in and work with those. What kind of, information or advice do you have for those folks?
For me, it always comes back to relationships. When it came time for us to start looking at this, the people that were knocking on my door to get us involved with were people I trusted. They were successful people. They just kind of passed the eyeball test as, I think this he's not a snake oil salesman. I mean, I think everybody listening to this has had somebody pulling their driveway with some wonder drug, out of a clear unlabeled jug, put this in and, no. There's no magic wand here in this deal. This is the real deal. And when you have trusted people, like we hope we are for our customers, and then some of the people like the Sean Bloomgrens of the world, the Brad Walkups of the world that pulled into our driveway with years of experience and years of success, that's what it comes down to. If you find successful people promoting successful new things to you, that's generally something to be involved with. So, for us, it's something we really want to encourage guys. My number one, I want to continue to win. I want our customers to win. If they win, I know we'll win. And so how do I make Midline different than every other DeKalb dealer? How do I beat the guys down the road, the competition? For me, as a seed dealer, a supplier, it's involving biologicals. On my own farm, when meeting those new yield goals and pushing things to higher levels, it involves biologicals. So, it's awful exciting what the last 24 months have shown us, and it's really just the tip of the iceberg.
So I know I got some exciting expansion projects coming up, and I'm sure we want to touch on that. What do you see for the future of biologicals, maybe in the ag industry as a whole, and especially for you guys at Midland?
Yeah,
Midline. See, I got that wrong again.
that's all right. You're not the only one. They, I think infrastructure wise for us, we're building a brand new warehouse. And honestly, we've adjusted plans over the last 12 to 18 months as we've learned more about the biological space. I know a third of our building will be purely for corn storage and for corn over treatment, and that was something we weren't planning on. We're planning on putting in one, if not two, treaters to be able to handle the Terracin 450 product. Eventually, Pivot Bio is going to graduate to the seed treatment version of their product. And then I know their stated goal is to eliminate synthetic fertilizer in the next 10 years on the nitrogen side, that would be. So we have to be ready to handle that. We have to be ready in our building from a manpower standpoint, from a facility standpoint, from a treater standpoint, to probably be able not only to treat the seed that we sell, but I really highly anticipate you'll start seeing competitive brands of seeds in our building because we're treating with these biologicals. We're helping guys, even though they're not buying from us the seed, we're going to help them capture what that biological space can do for them. And so those are some things that as we're building this new building and kind of going from a rental property, from a corn crib, these are the things over the last 20 years that we've kind of operated in to set this up for the long term, hopefully for us, me and my wife, to go into retirement, and for somebody else to be very successful with down the road.
John, especially this time of year, I really appreciate it when we have a little bit of time to talk to farmers like yourself. Harvest is still, kind of dragging its feet a little bit in some areas, and I know it's your time is valuable. Looking at that, what is harvest looking like in your area? Are you guys finished up or kind of fighting the weather still?
Nah, we're like a lot of guys. We'll probably be as late with harvest this year as we've been, but it's because of the best reasons possible. We are raising the crop of a lifetime in this area. I think my dad wishes he'd have hung on one more year. he's reluctant to help this year. He sees that yield monitor and thinks, man, I should have done this one more year. But he's happy for us, but he's kind of kicking himself too. But no, a lot of our guys, there's a lot of crop to go yet. Just improvements in yield this year that nobody could have substantiated when everything was so dry when it went in the ground earlier this year. So personally, we've got about 400 acres to go, just short of that after yesterday. We are fortunate to have a decent amount of bin space and decent amount of help, but this time of year, you're always kind of wanting to let's get the crop out of the way, let's get the cattle on stocks, let's get into seed sale season, let's get some fertilizer on. And so we're trying to kind of mash all that right now. All of those things are kind of living in the same space right now. So it makes for pretty busy days, but that's kind of where I thrive anyway. So it's a lot of fun. We have so many good things going on, and for ourselves and our customers, I mean, we've earned this year. Man, I tell you what, we've kind of ground away through some weather deals, through some pricing deals, through COVID. I'm just so happy for our customers. I love the phone call on, boy, you can't believe this farm went 280, John. Well, that's 280 is not supposed to live in Southwest Iowa, but it does this year. And to get the calls from, some guys, farm average 307. Man, I tell you what, I don't think I'd ever thought to live. I would see the day where 307 was a farm average. And now that's the goal. We got to all get to 307, so awful fun time around here. A lot of things going on, but yeah, harvest is going to take a while here in Southwest Iowa.
Definitely. Well, you're not alone. I know we're still rolling down here in Southern Illinois too. Yeah, great conversation today, John. Like I said, I really appreciate it. Is there anything else you want to add to the conversation when it comes to talking about these biologicals and what they kind of do for you and your customers?
Well, just really want to encourage you to find the right people to work with in your operation. People are your number one resource. I don't care if it's biological, seed, equipment, whatever it is. They're the ones that really kind of make the difference. When I was coaching, I used the phrase, you win with people. And when you find the right people, when you find your Sean Bloomgrens, you find your Dan Christensen's, your Ralph Lunders, that's when you start winning an awful lot. And I think there's some people in this biological space that are definitely helping us win and helping our customers win. And that's really what it comes down to.
Perfect. I love it. Well, for those who are a little bit more interested in finding out more about Midline, I'm not a football person, so I guess I get to use that excuse for getting the name wrong, right?
You got it.
For those who are interested in learning more about Midline and what you guys are up to, where can they follow you?
Yeah, we're on Facebook and we're on Twitter, and to my wife's chagrin, we are on TikTok. So Facebook's real simple. It's just Midline, Midline. Twitter, we're at DeKalb_Asgrow, which is entertaining because we get tagged in a lot of company stuff by mistake. But TikTok is honestly, I'm on there about every day doing a video of some kind, and we are at Midline_Farms. And no, I'm not dancing. I wasn't still choir back in the day, but I'm not breaking that routine out at this late date for anybody. But no, we get on there pretty regular and try to talk to guys about what we're seeing, what we're experiencing, share some of the experiences on our farm. And we're just at a really neat time with the boys at the age they are and some of the transitions and things we got going on. So yeah, that's, if you want to keep track of us and you're looking to be entertained by average jokes, that's the place to be.
I'll have to check that out for sure. Well, that wraps up this episode of Turning Point. John mentioned where you can learn more about Midline. If you're interested in learning some more about TerraSym and New Leaf Symbiotics, they have a website, terrasym2022.com. This video will be available to view on demand at any point, after we get it posted, and that will be at our website, brownfieldagnews.com. And you can tune in next Thursday at noon for the next episode of Turning Point. We hope to see you all then.